Hello, hello, my friends. We're so grateful you arrived again to the Gunn Show VIP edition. This is the show where we hype up manufacturing. We talk about how cool it is to make things. Is it cool? I think it's cool. I'll let you guys decide as well. I have a really special guest today. He's been a friend for a long time. In fact, he's one of the young men who helped me along my career. And I'm going to be real clear about the journey that I've had into manufacturing with 12 years being a machinist and then somehow jumping into the consulting sales side of things. And when you first get on that side from the machining side of things, there's a bit of confidence on the manufacturing side going, I know what I was doing. I can run machines. They listen to me when I program them correctly. Oh crap, sales and humans, what do I do now? Is anybody going to respect me? Is anybody going to like me? Am I going to do a good job? Well, the young man I have here with me today, he did. He was one of the first to really give me an opportunity to share my voice with mutual respect. And he's always done that. And I know it's a cliche statement to say, from the janitor to the CEO, but the gentleman I have with me today really embodies that style of personality. And I'm beyond grateful. I wouldn't be where I am today without a couple of people in my life, and that's certainly one of them. And we'll get into who this is in just a minute. I may or may not, for those of you watching, have a little secret right here. And if you're listening, I'm not going to tell you what it is. But if you're watching, it is that I love my robot. So let's thank a couple of our sponsors, AMT, IMTS. We absolutely appreciate you. 2024 is going to be an incredible year for IMTS. We're excited about that. Also, EBITDA Growth System Shop Rescue, when this releases, should also be in the middle of that release, which is extremely exciting. So Shop Rescue, gosh, I hope Netflix picks up that show. Wouldn't it be cool to have manufacturing on Netflix? Super dope, I believe. Yeah, anyway. All right. Now, let's get to the show itself. I know you're tired of me talking and bragging about the person that's here with me today, so we're going to get started. Robbie K, CEO and chairman of Acieta, is here with me today. I'm so very excited. But the first thing I got to get out of the way, because I still call him Robbie K and consider him one of my best friends. Let's put it on record, Robbie. How do we say your last name? Welcome back to the Gunn Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Komljenovic. It's actually pretty simple if you just simplify it in your head, right? It's Komljenovic, and you make that one long word. So,
okay,
most people know me as Robbie K, and Robbie, the guy that we can't pronounce his last name.
So from here on out, anytime I need to remember that, I'm going to this podcast, and I'm just going to recite it from how you said it. Robbie, I'm really grateful to have you here. Honestly,
thank you for having me.
I say that to all my guests because it does take a little bit of courage to hop on here and share our stories and connect with an audience out there. But you and I go way back. We go back to the days of my early roots of air turbine technology and your days of running Hermele.
Yes.
What a great machine tool company. We currently still have friends there, and people that you hired and brought in are thriving in all aspects of manufacturing. Let's talk about some of your journey coming into manufacturing. Sure. And then before we get into the Acieta side, give me a pause around the Hermele time so we can segue into that.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me on this. This is really an honor. As you mentioned, we've known each other for quite a while. In fact, I tell people, they're like, how do you know Tony Gunn? I'm like, I knew him when he was a surfer dude with long hair. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. So it was the journey in manufacturing for me has been amazing. And it started very early on. I was 12 years old when I worked in a machine shop in southern Germany. And by 15, I was programming CNC machines. And then got into an apprenticeship and then later into engineering. And it's just been an amazing journey. I did know early on, right around age 15, I knew what I was going to do one day. I was going to lead a company in manufacturing because it's so important to all of us, to humanity, to manufacture goods, whether that's food or metal parts or whatever it might be. And my journey brought me over to the United States 30 years ago, almost 31 years ago now. And I was a young guy, and I was working in at the time, I was running a CMM. I was getting my quality control experience under the belt. And at that time, the company moved. This was Heller. I was with Heller Machine Tools.
Another great company.
Another great company from my hometown in Nürtingen. In fact, I grew up playing soccer in their parking lot when I was 10 years old.
Nice.
So anyways, they brought me over here, and after my quality experience, then I turned into technical sales and engineering, and then from there into sales management, and so on and so forth. the story keeps on building. So along the way, I was invited to run a company. First, I was invited to run a company, Hermle, and then later SW, and then to Acieta. So there's a journey there. During my Hermle years is when I met you. So that was 2010.
Yeah, right around that
when we
time.
met. It was fascinating. It was my very first executive role. It was the first time responsible for P&Ls and for balance sheets and things like that. And I learned a lot in that journey. Fascinating company, amazing company still today. I hired quite a few intelligent and very good human beings. You know a couple of them, of course, as well.
They're still friends of me to
Still
this day,
friends.
thanks to
Yep.
you.
Well, and yeah, I mean, we still we just had dinner last week. The three of us. So
Yeah.
it was really special.
Should we name drop?
Sure,
They might
sure.
like it.
Of course, of course, of course. Gunther Steiner from Hermle. He's been with Hermle for a long time in Germany, and we needed some leadership, technical leadership in the United States, and I was able to convince him to come off his Heuberg, which is the little mountain in his hometown, and come to the big old USA. And now he, like the two of us, live in Florida. So he lives in Florida, not far from me, and is running an amazing company. They've had an amazing year.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
Yes.
Congratulations to Hermle as a whole and
yes.
Gunther also. Yeah, it's good to see it.
And then the other one is Manuel Merkt, who
Super nice guy.
A super nice guy who I hired to come over as well. He, in the meantime, works in a different industry, still manufacturing, but it's not in the metal cutting machine tool world. It's in the textile industry, so basically CNC cutting equipment for any drapes or prints and different things like that. So that was a great step for him. Stepped up his responsibility, and from what it sounds like, he's still having fun and enjoying it and learning every day.
Yeah. Just speaking with him as well, he seems to, and he needed to expand. Let's be honest, and not that Hermle didn't offer that by any means, but he really is one of those young men that just loves to learn. He's reading all the time, he's running all the time, and hopefully listening to us at some point while he's running as well. Something you said to me, Robbie, and I want to go back to, you mentioned I was 15 years old when I started running a CNC. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned I was in Germany. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, while traveling around, I do see apprenticeship programs that are far superior to how we currently host them here in the U.S. When I was 15 years old, I had never seen a CNC machine, whereas I would make the discussion, if I grew up in Germany, I would be very familiar, much like yourself. What can we do, do you think, here in the U.S. to connect some of those dots? Because I would consider Germany to be a leader in apprenticeship programs and bringing people into manufacturing. And to be fair, the last time I was there, they still also mentioned a labor shortage, but I still think that they do a better job of being inviting to the industry, and it's respected across their country. Whereas here, we're still kind of not noticed, right? We're not the movie stars, we're not the musicians, right? But we're still making everything around us. So what can we do to connect those dots, do you think?
Yeah, so let me start with manufacturing in the United States. It's unfortunate that the GDP share of manufacturing in the U.S. is so far below where it needs to be. In most advanced countries in the world, the GDP for manufacturing is far above 20%. And here in the U.S., we just have a hard time getting there. Not necessarily because we don't understand or we want to do it, only because the focus is just different. Mm-hmm. And that has changed over the last few years. As you might know, I'm also on the board of the Educational Foundation for SME.
Yes, great foundation as well.
Great foundation.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And this year I also chair the scholarship committee. So we're really focused and really driving hard to get the STEM program in front of kids at age 15 and even before then. And just for children to find this passion around making something, right? And we have some data that actually shows that by the time women get into middle school, the interest in STEM drops by 50%.
Any idea why?
No idea.
Wow.
No idea. There's theories about that, and that's typically, when the competitiveness and wanting to be cool and those kind of things start kicking in at that age group. And because manufacturing apparently is not sexy enough, girls drop out and they change their career path. It's very unfortunate. Our how do you say, our desire is to get to about 30 to 35% of female students, STEM students. We're still on the journey to get there. We're upper 20s, but we have some work to do. But it's getting better.
I heard a rumor, and you'll probably know this better, and I apologize for cutting you off a little bit there, but it does have to do with this, is I heard a rumor that if 6% of women in America decided to jump into the trades, the labor shortage would be gone.
100% true.
Yeah?
Yep, 100% true. That is what we're fighting with here. Back in Germany, it's a little bit different. In Germany, manufacturing is 38% of GDP. So it's very high.
Yeah.
And the reason being is Germany, as you know, you've traveled there a lot, it's not a big country. And it doesn't have many natural resources. And so what do? You have to manufacture something. You have to make something. And so there's a very high emphasis on apprenticeships, on like the mid-level technical education. And quite honestly, machinists, as you know, and you've seen them, you go to Hermle, you walk through, machinists are proud people to what they do, and they're good at what they do.
And I think we all should be.
We all should be.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And it's catching on. I'm very, very excited about, especially now in automation, what we can actually do that seemed so undoable just a few years ago.
We are, and we're trying here at the show as well. I know you are also, at being a mentor of mine. We're trying to make it cool and sexy. We don't want to lose those women when it's not sexy. We're sexy and we know it, right?
That's right.
We're sexy and we know it. So I do want to talk about your journey, and I want to really amplify automation as a whole.
Okay.
And I'm going to lead you into that by saying you've done a really wonderful job throughout your career of kind of evolving with the industry.
Great coffee.
You like it? For everyone who just heard Robbie say that, this is the luwak coffee from Indonesia, which was actually animal poo, but don't tell anyone. But it's quite delicious. It is delicious. It's a little lower in caffeine, actually, than a normal coffee, so you can drink more of it if you enjoy the flavor. If you can get over the mindset or thought of where it's coming from, you're good to go. But it is delicious. So I think you've always done a wonderful job of evolving with the industry. When I saw you make the move, knowing how established you helped Hermle become in the U.S., and they continue to do so, and going to the exhibitions or open houses in Germany for Hermle and seeing the evolution of the machines themselves and the dedication they have to the overall quality. I always looked at Hermle as being a global leader in quality machines. Family owned and operated, I believe. So expansion is somewhat limited, but not all the way limited. So they're selling out for months, right?
Sure.
Which is great for them. So when I saw that move, I was like, oh, wait, you're going to leave one of the best companies on the planet? And what's next? What's next? And you went into automation. And I remember looking at myself and going, oh, this is a big deal. This is a legit step in where we all need to go in the U.S. And I've seen you thrive at Acieta, and I've been to some of your companies that you've worked with, just how happy they are with the integration, millions and millions and millions of dollars of integration on parts they could have never done without automation. So that's my segue to give you time to move into, let's make some of these projects exciting and sexy, and connect with that audience about what excites you as well.
And thank you for that segue. The robotics is more sexy than machining. And I say that because we see this in folks that are applying for jobs, and we see this in the robot programs in different colleges around the country. It is exciting because it is different, and it's so diverse what you can do with a robot. In the machining, in the manufacturing world, and I always clarify for people when I say I work in the manufacturing world, because typically we wouldn't think of food manufacturing, but that is a big part of our manufacturing ecosystem. So the range from loading equipment to welding trailers to packaging food to making sure that the U.S. has enough food for all the people here. That takes a lot of automation, a lot of dedication on trying to figure out how can you make more with less. You mentioned the labor shortage and how easy that would be to gap if we could just
Convince those women.
Convince those women.
Come on, ladies.
That labor shortage is not going to go away. Even when and specifically manufacturing, even when you see some of the trends going up and down, it continues to go down. The gap is getting bigger and bigger. We have all the baby boomers, past World War II period where the world was rebuilding. Everybody was in manufacturing, building houses, cars, airplanes, and so forth. And that generation is starting to retire and play golf down here in our neighborhood. We need to make sure that we have an infrastructure in place that allows us to produce the products we need to produce, and hopefully here in the United States. The whole global climate has not gotten better over the last 10 years, and we see a lot of the reshoring projects that are coming back. Some of our friends are in that business as well. And you can bring work back, but if you don't have anyone to do the work, you need to automate. And so it's almost like this trifecta of you don't have enough STEM students, you have a high level of retirees in that industry, you're bringing work back. Last time I checked, none of us want less stuff.
Consumerism's growing.
Consumer is the healthiest part of our economy right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, why are we not already in a recession? It's because of the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to fuel that engine to continue the growth. And the only way this is my personal opinion, the only way I see it happening is through automation. We've got to make sure that we upskill folks to make them to help them create more value in an organization. And the dirty, dull, and dangerous, we talked about this all the time, right? The 3Ds. It's like those are the type of jobs you got to go after first in any company. Those are the ones that a human being should not be doing. And there is still so much of that out there, Tony. You wouldn't believe it. You walk through a lot of shops and you go out there and you're like, holy moly, I can't believe they're still doing this today in 2024, like they did 100 years ago. Those are some of the low-hanging fruits. But even more importantly than that is we have to figure out how do we make more product sustainable, right? And that is a journey that the automation world is on fire. I mean, our industry, we are growing as you might have heard in recent announcements. So Acieta is growing as a company. We're merging with another integrator. So
congratulations!
Thank you. It'll be about double the size of what it was before. So that allows us to support our customers not just regionally but also nationally and internationally. And that's a journey we're going to have to continue to push for. It's like we have to make sure our customers can make stuff. And with automation, you get higher quality repetitiveness, you've got, obviously efficiency, cycle time, productivity, all those things that we have to have.
And most people, I think, sometimes get suffocated with work, and we get drowned by work, and we find ourselves so involved that we don't see outside of that.
He's cerebral, so he likes to think about things and stew on them for a minute, and then, okay, if they make sense, he does it. Tanner's the kind of guy where it's like, okay, if this makes sense, okay, let's do it. Why don't we do it? Okay, why didn't we do this 5 minutes ago, right?
He grew this shop from the ground up, just trying to get good customers in. And then he gets a customer, he's like, I don't ever want to lose this customer. I don't want to lose a single job that they send me to quote. And I came in later, and I came in from running another business.
And so it was nice to have someone else come in and get him to hear that you need to work on both sides, and this is where you can improve on the business side. You've already got the technician side mostly locked and loaded, but there's a second part of the business, and let's meld these two together to be great.
Kind of scale. We've built processes around every little detail in our shop that are repeatable and reproducible as we continue to grow, whereas previously it was needing to get another one of me, or just, like I said, increase my hours. There was a big focus on my hours. And that was the old tactic. New tactic is kind of investing in all these little aspects so that way we can continue to grow without having to clone myself or Tanner or somebody else out on the floor.
So the community between all these companies, it's a small community. We all know each other. It's a small community, but people want to help other people. Humans, successful humans, want to help other humans be successful.
I want to dive in more to the growth of Acieta, but I want to save that for a few moments, a little bit later down the line. I think it's one of those things that will captivate the audience, but let's keep them sticking around. You know what I mean? I want to kind of address. You mentioned the low-hanging fruit, right? The 3Ds, dull, dirty, dangerous. We do talk about these a lot, and a lot of folks do, but there's still. You mentioned this as well. Tony, you go around the world looking at shops, you still see this, and I know you do also, and it's true. Is it a fear of something new? Is it financial struggle? Is it, and what do we say to those who are still on that fence going, well, it's taking my job? And we can immediately revert back to labor shortage, but also, that's not what's happening. And I want you to expand on that. I've seen tons of stories where a scared person who said I'm losing my job ended up making a lot more money by running a lot more machines, and I can go into details of that, but I would prefer that you do, and we kind of address. Let's talk to the people who have things that can certainly be automated easily that fit within the 3Ds, and let's also talk to the people who still have that concern about losing their job.
Yeah, losing your job in manufacturing is not going to happen unless you're doing something wrong, right? So that takes me back actually to when I started at Acieta, and I had to answer some questions to friends and family. They're like, "So how does it feel now to replace jobs?"
Right, that's kind of a mean thing to say.
Like, it is, right? It's like, how are you going to live with that? And I'm like, well, I'll let you know when I get there.
Yeah.
And
how about all the jobs we created?
What do you mean? And it's like every customer that we sell automation to continues to grow and hire more people. None of them are replacing people with robots.
Right.
They're taking people from the 3Ds, for example. They're taking people from the dirty, dull, and dangerous jobs, and they're upskilling them into other job responsibilities, something that is better for them to do to begin with. And they create more value. And that way they can have higher wages and continue to grow.
Yeah.
So we don't, I remember one time it was a USA Today or something back in the days when the newspapers were still on the airplanes. I remember opening one up and it literally said that robots are gonna kill 50 million jobs in the next 20
Did it say
years.
that?
Yes. I'm like, there isn't even 50 million jobs out there. It's like, where do they come up with this?
Where did that number come from?
It's just totally nuts, but it's fear-making, right?
And it definitely drives the media, doesn't it?
It drives the media.
Yeah.
It just creates a lot of uncertainty. And then so our job as an integrator, we help educate our customers. And you asked, is it a financially driven decision? In some cases, yes. But I can tell you that, well, the pandemic certainly helped out the automation world.
It definitely did.
Because all of a sudden, you can't make product, and you have all these orders, and people need toilet paper, whatever it might be, right?
We saw that fight, didn't we?
We saw that fight, yeah.
Crazy people out there.
There's some crazy stuff out there. Man, did you see on YouTube, some of those fights at Walmart? It's like,
I tried not to, but you couldn't get away from it. It seemed to be everywhere. What's going on?
Geez, I wonder why that tags you like that. But anyways.
What is with the algorithm that's feeding me this information?
But yeah, so we really, if you think about it from a productivity standpoint, our customers, they look at not just we used to justify by labor savings to automate.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, the guy costs me whatever it is, $50,000-$60,000 a year. One robot costs X. How many years is my return of investment? That number changed significantly during the pandemic because all of a sudden it was like, wow, we're not making product. We've lost profits from not shipping product. So that justification all of a sudden is not, can I save some labor cost over here? The justification is like, I got to have my equipment running and producing. And so that changed, that shifted a paradigm a little bit on thinking of automation. Certainly when we came out of the pandemic and people went back to work and such, all of a sudden, a lot of manufacturers realized they're like, we should have done this 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't. And what's coming next? And how do we fill these open jobs? What do we do? And this is where we come in and help educate. We sit down and we put together business cases and return of investment calculations and so forth with our customers to make them feel better about automating. And also technically, we need to educate them very closely on what makes sense to automate and what doesn't. Because that's always the danger. It's like, and we know some companies in California that make electric cars that when they jumped in and all of a sudden deployed hundreds of robots, there's a lot of confusion, and it didn't increase the efficiency at first. Of course, they got it fixed by now, but I'm talking 5-6 years ago. There is a danger of over automating as well, and that's our job, is to make sure we find that sensible space where it makes sense to put a robot on the task.
Yeah, you're really great at leading me into next parts of the conversation.
Awesome.
because I wanted to
'Cause we
ask
think
you.
alike,
We
yeah.
do, we definitely do. What's the difference between someone who makes the product and an integrator? Because Acieta is an integrator, and you've kind of drifted around it with what you were just saying. But let's really clarify the difference of, working with Acieta gives you an integrator that allows you to do this versus I'm going to buy a robot off a shelf and do it on my own, and maybe we're over engineering or whatever. But I'll let you discuss that.
No, that is a great point. Integrators, it's basically we're consultants with mechanical and electrical engineering and assembly skills.
Yeah.
So you can go and buy a robot off the shelf. What's next? What do you do then? And we saw this with some of our competitors in the past, maybe not even competitors, but more like market companions, where they would sell a robot, a customer would buy a robot and think they're going to integrate it, meaning apply it in their manufacturing, deploy it, do it themselves, and then all of a sudden they find the robot in a corner somewhere because no one has time, no one has the skill, and it happened a lot over the years.
Unfortunately, I've seen that quite a lot myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, when they think that maybe our robot cell is too expensive, I point to that thing sitting in a corner. I'm like, how expensive is that? That was an investment 2 years ago. It's still sitting there. You don't think that's expensive? It's like you have to find an integrator that is willing to walk away from a job as well, because there's a technical risk that comes with automating a process in a manufacturing facility. And we've been around for 40 years, and we plan on being around for another at least 40 years. Maybe I won't. But
You will be. You're going to live forever. You never
I
age. You still look like Tony Stark and Iron Man.
Oh, my God. I just got that the other day again.
Yeah, I bet you did.
But you find an integrator that, A, listens to you, that is willing to say no. When a customer says, hey, I want to put a robot on that, and we look at it, we're like, it's not a smart idea. That's really what you want to find. Someone that has experience in your application, in your field. We will always, at Acieta, we have our verticals. We look at what are we really good at? Where do we provide most value to our customers? And there are certain applications that we do that with, right? Like we're really good at welding. We're really good at
one of my favorites, actually. I was going to
sheet
bring that
metal
up in just a
bending.
bit. Yeah.
I mean, talk about the 3Ds, right?
Yeah. And let the welders get back to that creativity of why they got in it to begin with.
100%.
Yes, that's one of my
100%.
favorite automated cells is welding.
Absolutely. It's one of those applications that companies cannot find people to, and most of us, to be fair, are not necessarily going to want to talk our kid into being a welder, right? If they're asking, Dad, what should I do one day? You're not going to say be a welder. It just the only time that happens is when the dad is a welder. Then you see that happen.
That's fair.
And so it's very difficult for them to find the right labor resources in that application segment.
Another rumor I heard, by the way, is 400,000 labor shortage in welding alone. And I might be mistaken in that number, but that was a rumor I heard stumbling through FabTech one year.
It's one of the numbers I heard recently was 82,000 welders retire every year, and they're only backfilling like 25,000.
Holy moly!
So that number is going to continue that gap is going to continue to grow.
Based on that math.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
And I got to tell you that to me, I look at welding, it's an art form.
It
of
definitely is.
manufacturing.
Very creative
So we
art
see
form.
some of these really cool parts here behind us, right? And here. And those are just beautiful statues, pieces of art. Welding is an art form. It's like, and you can tell, even as someone that's not a professional welder, you see a good weld, you see a bad weld. And there's so much knowledge that goes into that. So when you have large manufacturers, we have a lot of customers that make a lot of metal parts, and almost everything is welded. Even here, I'm looking at this stuff. This is welded.
Sure.
right?
Yeah. These bases here.
So what the challenge for them is, how do they use, because there's so few available that are skillful and artful and wanting to weld, how do they take those people and just basically, deploy them into programming robots? So one welder can actually run 6, 7, 8 robots, just talking standard cells, not even custom. That's a whole different whole different project. But you have basically, you want to take that person that has the knowledge and the skills and just try to multiply his reach.
Sure. That's exactly
And
right.
you
That's
have
a great way
one,
to say
you
it.
have one arm to weld, and it's like, if you can have 8 arms all of a sudden to weld, think about that. We have to do that. There's no choice.
We're an octopus all of a sudden.
There you go.
I like it. And that's so true. And that goes back to the story that I didn't go into detail about, but the young man who was afraid was able to run 5 or 6 machines, an entire line, all on his own, which gave him better productivity, the company more productivity, the residual profits that the company made trickled back down to him instead of just running one machine. So that's battling the labor shortage. That's increasing the pay. It's not taking anyone's job. It's removing the dull, because it was dull, just manually loading and unloading a machine. I know we were talking about welding. I've spent some time with the welders as well. In fact, just give a quick shout out to a few of the Acieta folks out there. Certainly, Tyler, he really focuses on the welding side, but we can't forget about Jake, the 2 Steves, Julie. I mean, you have a fantastic team over there.
Thank you.
So we're going to play a couple of games in just a minute. But
right.
before we do that, because we strung the audience along about this expansion of Acieta, doubling in size, going from domestic to global, can we talk about what that's all about? And again, congratulations, by the way.
I knew that he was a great machinist. He's a great thinker. He's a great problem solver. And I knew that it was the business side that needed help, just as far as functionality and profitability, instead of, this whole story has been working 100 hours and not like seeing their value, really.
Nick and Tanner have taught themselves how to machine off of YouTube, which is very different. But they were quick to raise their hand and say, let me start a business. Let us start a business. And let me do this with my brother Tanner. And I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to follow conventional ways of learning, but I'm going to take all the information that's on YouTube and social media, and I'm going to apply it, and I'm going to work day and night to make that happen. And that's something that I think all generations can really learn from.
This journey's made us more successful because we can kind of scale. We've built processes around every little detail in our shop that are repeatable and reproducible as we continue to grow.
And to be a very, very small part of what was going on in their relationship and help that become better, it's nice to see them smile and enjoy life together and pick on each other and not just jujitsu kick each other in the shins. It's great to see that, and it was fantastic to be a part of it. But I'm so proud of those guys, and I'm so happy that not just business is getting better, but their personal relationship is going to the next level.
Thank you. Yeah, so the difficulty that integrators have is that the market is growing so fast that you organically, it's about impossible. I tried it for 5 years. It's impossible to grow at the rate of the market. So the only way to grow is acquisitions, M&A, mergers and acquisitions. And so that's what we've done. We have partnered up with another integrator here in the United States that already had a footprint. We have a footprint, they have a footprint, perfect match. Even from the vertical perspective, it's like things we're really good at in automating, they don't really care much about. It's not their core competency. other things that they're really good at, we've never done before. I'm talking like AGVs, for example, right? So at Acieta, we've done a couple projects where we integrated AGVs. We're so far not the expert in it. These guys are.
Yeah.
They've deployed hundreds and hundreds of AGVs. So it's a perfect match right there, right? And then also from a footprint perspective, we have, as you know, a facility in Iowa and a facility in Wisconsin. Well, these new facilities are in Indiana, in Michigan, in Ohio, and in Mexico.
And we all know how important it is to
Monterrey,
have local
Mexico.
service and support, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And when you look at your business and where does the business come from, how do you respond to customers? Where's your repeat business coming from? It's typically about 4 to 5, maximum 5 hours driving distance from either of the facilities. That's just how it is. It's human nature. It's like, oh yeah, this is my backyard. Now, our Iowa facility is just outside of Omaha, so it's really on the edge of western Iowa. We have customers that drive 5 hours. They still think we're local.
Our colleagues in the UK may disagree with that, as their island's a bit smaller
They got
than the
my zip
US.
codes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, did you say New Mexico, by the way?
Monterrey.
Monterrey, Mexico, where I'll be very soon.
How about that?
Love that city. So Monterrey, Mexico. I'm just going to throw this in as a bit of knowledge. Their local government there has done a really great job of bringing in manufacturing and infrastructure as a whole. In fact, they've done it so well that they're almost out of space in Monterey, but they're still making promises with. We all know, I think all of us know, maybe not, but some of us know that Mexico has thrived in the automotive world for years and years. For a long time, they were number 4. I think they've even moved closer to 2 or 3 at this point, but the infrastructure that Mexico is currently creating, I'm fascinated by. So good for them. That's just a little shout out there. Is there anything else you want to share about the growth of Acieta, where you'll be able to support people? Any messages that you would like to share to an audience out there to work with Acieta, where you can help them, or maybe offer even a little bit of courage about getting into automation if they're still hesitant to do so?
Oh, 100%, yeah. So in terms of getting into automation, just talk to one of our folks. I mean, we have some incredible consultant salespeople. You know, we call them salespeople, but in reality, in our industry, they're consultants, and they're there to really sit down with you and figure out what works best for you, because what works best for you might not work for the other person next door. So please reach out when you have, you know, some challenges, whether it's application driven or labor driven or whatever it might be. In some cases, we have to automate certain processes because people can't do it. Now, there's also a lot of other applications that human touch is still necessary, right? That would be difficult to.
We can't replace everyone, nor do we want to.
No, nor do we want to. In terms of Acieta, I just encourage you to, you know, go out on the web. If you haven't already talked to any of us, go out on the web, check us out. We've been around for, as I mentioned, 40 years. We've been exclusive FANUC integrator for 40 years. We have a very close and personal relationship with FANUC. I, you know, typically go to Japan always, and we're part of all their events, and we've always been one of the top level integrators for FANUC. There's not that many of them out there. So hopefully we will hear from you guys, and if we are already working with you, thank you for your business and for your trust. Really appreciate that very much. All the Acieta folks are really excited to help you automate.
2 things I want to add to that for the audience watching and listening right now is, to my knowledge, Acieta is a 24-hour customer service as well. So if there's ever issues, you can get in touch. And that, to me, customer service at the end of the day is discussionably the most important thing any company can offer, because since we've already brought up COVID before, this strange thing I heard of once or twice, customer service has kind of gone to crap, right? Yep. At the hotels, everywhere. So I thank all of you out there who are still giving good customer service, because we're trying as well. Acieta will be one of those. The other thing I want to bring up super quick before we move into these games is, we've talked a lot about the investment in products and where we get the money from and the savings that come from it, the products that can be produced. I heard a story one time. This company automated a full cell, and they were able to take the money from back problems from the employees filing about back problem issues on the insurance side of things, and that funded the entire automated project. I mean, that in itself is not discussed enough, I don't think.
You're absolutely right. That should be part of every story that we tell out there, because it's not just that money funded the automation. Those folks are also feeling better.
Exactly.
Right. So it's a win-win. And you're absolutely right. All like workers' comp claims and things like that, they reduce significantly when you automate in your, depending on what application you're looking at, but we're in a lot of fab shops, in a lot of fabrication, sheet metal, bending, welding, and so forth. They have some of the highest worker comp claims.
Yeah.
And so to go in and automate that is such a gratifying experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I also want to bring that up because although we are early in the VIP edition of the Gunn Show, we're around episode 80 of the original Gunn Show, and Robbie was on that. And when I first interviewed him about automation, and this was a couple years ago at this point, I first started the Gunn Show around February, March of 2021. And Robbie was one of my first guests that I interviewed since we live close to each other. I'm like, I got to get him on the show. He's a good friend. He has such a wealth of knowledge. And one of the first things he ever told me when I asked him, why did you get into the automation side of things? It was to help people. And that comes from what we just described on the health side of things, to help people do better in their lives and feel better. That was one of the first things you ever told me. So congratulations. It's come full circle a few years later. The expansion and growth, the dedication to that as well. Are you ready to play a couple of games?
Oh, absolutely.
So we're gonna
Bring
do
it on.
we're gonna do a couple of games. We also will do a toast at the end of the show. I got a couple of friends here. My buddy Christian, my sound engineer, my producer, and then Ben's probably playing on the laptop right now, but he always delivers one heck of a pour, I tell you. I'm sure Robbie's gonna think of a delicious toast to go along with this. He's a pretty clever man when it comes to that. But we're gonna play two games first. The two games we're gonna play today are rapid fire questions. What better person to have on a show that is quick on his feet to answer rapid fire questions than my buddy Robbie K. You know the rest of that last name. And would you rather? Another thing I'd love to squeeze out of Robbie's mind is just the idea that no situation is perfect. But we're going to pitch two different situations and figure out which one might work best for his personality. So we ready, Robbie? We'll do the quick fire first. All right. Remember, this is off the top of your head. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're definitely not editing this. One innovation you wish had been invented.
I wish had been invented.
Yes.
Or will be invented.
You wish you... Oh, sorry. I read that incorrectly. I think it's the first time I've read that incorrectly. You ready? We'll do this one more time.
All right.
One innovation you wish you had invented.
Okay. AI.
Yeah, me too. Mids, that would be a good one for sure. Or Lugal, if you ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, that is going to change how we make things.
Yeah.
How we respond to things, how we be serviced.
It's already programming.
It's crazy. I mean, people. It's only became popular with the ChatGPT. Right?
Yeah.
And at that point, it was like, this is dangerous. This is going to do, and Elon Musk is out there saying how dangerous, and it is if it's not controlled
Could
properly.
be, yeah.
Absolutely.
Will Smith would teach us something on that, right?
Absolutely. It has to be controlled, but it's just like anything else. We have to control certain points of danger in the industry out there, and that's just not going to go. That's always going to be like that. But the positive side of it is going to have a huge impact. So I wish. We've been working with AI for, 15 years maybe, on the software side in the vision field. And now we're looking at how can we use AI to program robots more efficiently, faster, better. So it's not strange to us that ChatGPT is just what the everyday consumer can use.
Makes me seem a lot smarter on
Okay.
paper.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Next question: most surprising use of a 3D printer that you've seen?
Ooh, 3D printer. A question is. Can I ask a question? Is it
You may.
metal or any material?
Up to you. Any material, yeah. Whatever.
Most surprising use, it would be an implant, a body implant.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
That was functional
Yeah.
and safe
Yeah, but still, I'm like, wow, this is interesting.
and printed. Yeah.
This is, certainly GE was the first one that had it as a flight critical component. That didn't surprise me because the FAA usually goes through such rigorous testing of their parts, besides doors falling off and things like that. But the main, flight critical components.
As much as we travel, let's not manifest that anymore, please.
You're right, buddy. You're right. So I would probably say I was surprised to hear, and when I say implant, I'm talking about a 3D printed part that goes into heart.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool stuff.
I actually have a buddy in the hospital right now who just had a kidney transplant. So knowing this type of technology and thanking an engineer and thanking a machinist and thanking the people who work on this stuff, just do it again. Thank you so much for doing that. You ready for your third question?
Real quick, Tony,
Sure.
I just want to say that you're absolutely correct to thank the machinist and thank the designer and thank those folks. Everyone thanks the doctor,
Right.
which is
It's the glamorous job, right?
Of course, yes. I mean, we need to thank our doctors when they do a good job. But the whole process of getting that perfect part to the doctor and then into the body, that's a journey that we need to be thankful for.
100%. And that's a big part of the awareness we're all trying to create is it's connecting those dots between what's sexy and not sexy, right? The glamour and the non-glamour. We're trying our best. All right, the next one, which I think is kind of, you might even want to pause on this one. Totally up to you. It might come straight to your mind, but it's one of my favorite questions to ask. And that question is a historical figure you'd hire for your team.
Historical, so it must be dead. Who would be that? Who would I hire for my team? Steve Jobs.
Oh, clever answer. He was a kind of a smart man, right?
Super intelligent, forward-thinking, saw the future 20 years before we all see it.
He might still be seeing the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? All right. Would you rather? I'm only going to give you about 2 of these right now. We're cutting our time close here, and I definitely want to hear your toast and then offer a bit of gratitude to not only everyone who's watching, but you for joining me as well. Of
course.
So we'll do a couple of these. Would you rather? Let's go with. Would you rather focus on producing a high quality product with a higher cost or a lower quality product that's more affordable?
High quality product.
I knew that would be your answer.
Every day.
Every day, all day, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's an easy one. Not even an explanation needed for that one, I don't think, really. All right. Would you rather focus on custom one-of-a-kind products or mass-produced standard items?
Me personally, custom one of a kind.
Yeah. It's more creativity to it, right?
More creativity, more fun.
Different day-to-day. Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, you're off the hot seat, my friend, for the most part.
Thank you, buddy.
We are going to have a drink delivered now. I also have a gift for you as well. My friend Benjamin is always on cue, just ready to go. I think I saw him sneak in here earlier. I heard a door go. We're doing actually if I may take a look at this, Ben, thank you so much, brother. I do appreciate you. A 28-year Scotch.
Ooh.
Absolutely amazing, right?
Nice.
So
Nice.
we got it. It's a single malt. Single malt's my favorite, more than a blended as well. But Robbie, I appreciate you, brother. It's been a long time. You've given me every opportunity to express myself and my own creativity. You've never asked me to be something that I'm not. You allowed me to be authentic and transparent, and that has inspired what is currently happening here with MTD and being the global channel to look toward for manufacturing information. So thank you for always being so well-rounded and allowing me to be exactly who I am as well, Robbie.
Man, cheers to that. And I tell you what, I have to thank you for spreading into the world the positive of manufacturing. Not enough people do that. There is a few people out there, but no one does it as genuinely and as heartfelt. And every time I see your videos out there, I'm like, you go, brother, you go.
I'm not crying. You're
Great
crying.
job.
I'm not crying, guys. I'm not crying.
I know. I'm like, hey.
All right,
Cheers.
cheers. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate
you.
your time. We appreciate everything you've done. As I say on every episode, just about, time is the most valuable commodity we could ever have. So if you ever share it with us, we truly appreciate you. I hope you've learned as much as I have today from my friend Robbie. The continued growth of Acieta. Let's all put our hands together for that. Give the entire team a congratulations, a round of applause for everything that they're doing. Automation is incredibly significant, important to the reshoring of everything that's going on right now and the foundation of U.S. manufacturing infrastructure. So, Robbie, thank you again.
And
Oh, we got an and.
continue to love your robot.
Continue to love your robot. Absolutely. Cheers, brother. Cheers to all you out there as well.
Cheers, mate.